Now we're going to cover another area important to use when you're writing data. We're going to talk about transactions. Let's go back and look at a user registering to attend a conference, for example. As you may recall, we previously introduced an ancestor relationship between a profile and conference, where the profile that created the conference was the ancestor to the conference. We will now introduce a has a relationship between profile and conference, where each profile entity will have a list of conferences they will attend. We will call this property conferences to attend. In addition, we will have a numeric counter in each conference entity which specifies how many seats are still available. We will call this property seats available. So when a user registers to attend a conference, the conference gets added to conferences to attend and seats available gets decremented by 1. So going back to transactions, in this case your application will perform 2 update operations on 2 separate entities. So far, every data store update operation we used have been independent of the other. For example, the success or failure of put entity 1 and put entity 2 has been independent of the success and failure of the other. This may be okay in many situations, but in many situations it may also be completely unacceptable. So going back to transactions, in this case your application will perform 2 update operations on 2 separate entities. On the profile entity, it will add the conference to the conferences to attend property. And on the conference entity, it will decrement the seats available counter. Although these operations are performed independently in this diagram right now, you may see that they are in fact highly dependent on each other. Imagine, for example, that you have successfully added the conference to the profile entity. And then the unthinkable happens. Your application needs to terminate for some reason. For example, it runs out of memory and is faced with a critical termination condition. In this case, when your application restarts, the profile entity will have the conference registered to attend, but the seats available counter has not been decremented. This means that there will be more users attending than there are seats available. That is not good. We solve this problem by using transactions. This is done by telling DataStore to begin a transaction. Then you perform your operations, and finally, you commit your transaction. If everything goes well, you have successfully performed both update operations and the state of both accounts have been updated. In transaction language, we call this a commit forward. But if the unthinkable happens and something goes wrong before we have successfully executed the commit transaction statement, then anything that has been updated starting from the begin statement will be undone, like it has never happened. For our case, that means that the seats available counter was not decremented, but it also means that the conference was not added to the profile entity. As you can see, we have created a mutual dependency between these statements. They are either executed as a complete group or none of it gets done. Now the time has come for you to add transactions to Conference Central with a new exercise.